we're not just marketing our product to the outside world, we're also marketing our product to the rest of the team. Like, hey, look, you did this really cool thing. Once there's one South African in the company, the rest of it just sort of snowballs.
What is it that you think South Africans have that make us so great in a remote international role?
I think it's a combination of our communication style and our storytelling abilities. It works so well. And we're also not afraid of being wrong or breaking things really quickly to fix them.
What is the one most valuable piece of advice that you can give?
Niche down early and don't underestimate your ability to play on the world stage. It's not as far away as you think that it is.
Hello, and welcome to South Africa Tech Marketers, where I uncover the journey of marketers who are absolutely thriving in South Africa and beyond in the hope of helping you do the same. My name is Kirsty Lang. I'm a senior content writer working remotely in Cape Town, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by someone who is bringing South African marketing talent to an international stage. But before we dive in, a quick shout out to the Global Talent Company, who we have to thank for this show. If you are a South African marketer looking to land your dream remote role, or if you're a company looking to hire exceptional South African talent, check them out at globaltalent.co. The link, as always, is in the show notes. So with me today is Candice Jenkinson, product marketing and brand strategist at Metaphor, a UK-based software company. She has led high-impact brand campaigns, built strong partnerships, and developed go-to-market strategies across borders. And I can't wait to hear more about how she does it. So Candice, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kirsty. You make me sound so smart and accomplished. I love this. Can you?
You are.
Can you do that for me every morning, please? Be my pep talk.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. Okay. We can save that intro and like set it to play as your alarm on your phone. I think that could be like a cool. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I really, I love the concept of bringing the global stage closer to South African marketers. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for making the time. I know how much you have going on. I thought we could start with your journey, as we always like to do on the show. Let's talk about how you got into marketing and how that path led you to this role at Metaphor.
Okay, well, I actually started my studies as a drama student at the University of Pretoria. And after about... Really?
Ticks of Nicks.
Yes, exactly. Always and forever in my heart.
Amen.
That's amazing. I know, it's the best, isn't it? What a way to launch into your adult life. It's nothing like it. But yeah, so I started, in the drama department at Tux, and it was about a year into it, and I realized actually I'm far better backstage than I am on stage. And the coordination and the giving instruction, that was my jam. And I'd already been doing psychology for a year and figured marketing would be the next sort of step that made sense because it was a little bit more commercial, but it was still figuring out how people think and, the psychology behind decision making, that kind of thing. I moved into marketing quite quickly after that. And it just felt like a natural fit. Straight out of university, my first job was at Prime Media. I started in working with retail, FMCG brands, shopping malls, the airports company, managing everything in the studio from taking briefs to briefing designers, managing campaign rollouts, production elements. And then over the next 2 almost decades, I've worked across B2B, B2C, banking, large shopping centers, small like boutique retail stores. And, when you're in agencies, you have to learn a lot really, really quickly. And you learn how to communicate in different languages to different audiences really quickly, because it's not just about you selling to the consumer. You're also selling to your team. You're trying to convince the designers or the copywriters that this is the right way to go, or, that to the account managers that this is going to take a little bit longer because there's a lot more work involved than just a copy paste, control D for design, and it was at working at one of these agencies where I actually met the Metaphor team. I was the account manager on the team who helped them with an SEO audit, and just sort of revamped their whole organic online presence. And I worked with the marketing manager, or the previous marketing manager. And when she moved on, they were looking for somebody to work for them, and they got in touch and they said, would you be keen, And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity. And it was such a natural shift for me, and for them. And they were looking for somebody who could bring a little bit of a fresh perspective and who would challenge the thinking. And I think because we'd done that in the project leading up to this, they trusted me to ask the right questions at the right time. And, and I think for them, it was quite a brave and bold move as well. Because the business is 40 years old, so they've already established themselves as an expert in their industry. And they were just looking for someone to push them into sort of the next 40 years. So yeah, it just felt like the right thing at the right time, and yeah, no looking back.
That is incredible. And that is such a testament to what an amazing job you did on their account when you were still at the agency. I think that's super cool. So were they hiring remotely? Do they generally hire remotely, or was it that they made a special case for you, a special exception?
I think I was actually the first South African hire for them. Yeah, I've never actually thought about that before, but I think that I was. So I was lucky in the sense that the marketing director at the time had moved back to, hold on, let me get the timeline right, because now it's all jumbled in my mind. So our marketing director was actually South African, but he was living in London at the time. Or when he was hired, he was living in London, and he wanted to come back to South Africa with his wife and start a family. And so they moved back to South Africa, and we met while he was living here. So technically they did have a South African, but I was the first one hired in this region, as a South African. Yeah. And I love
how we look after each other.
Yeah, exactly. And now, the team is, we have an SEO human, we have a PPC human, we have a website designer, and we're all South African, and we all live all over South Africa and work remotely together. And it's quite fun, because I think the way that we're sort of infiltrating has been quite something to watch. And we do bring a different perspective,
Yes.
And we do question things a lot, and it's not it only comes from a space of wanting to understand. So yeah, it's been a real refreshing change for the team, and you can see it in the way that they communicate with us and the trust that they have in us. So yeah, that's been really fun to watch and be a part of, and something I'm really proud of as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's why I love the show as well. I just think it's so cool that you're able, that you were kind of South African, number 1.5.
Yeah.
And
it counts. It counts.
It counts. Absolutely. And it's such a testament to how well you did when you were hired remotely, that they were like, hey, we should get more South Africans. And I think, I don't know, that seems to be quite a universal thing. When companies are like, hey, when they figure it out, they find us, they're like, oh my goodness, which is exactly what the Global Talent Company was set up to do. Both of the founders of the company were like, hiring South Africans, they were like, everybody should be doing this. This is great. So I love that you're
exactly. And I know from my experience in the industry and talking to other people in the industry, especially in the UK market as well, South Africans in the UK market, that once there's one South African in the company, the rest of it just sort of snowballs. It's quite a thing.
We're sneaking in. It sounds really ominous when I frame it that way, but it's not. We're very nice, I promise. To any international folks listening to this, we're good people. But Candice, let's pull on some of those threads that you touched on earlier. So just in terms of kind of the South African work ethic, and having worked with UK-based folks and South African folks, I imagine you worked with other international folks when you were still at an agency. What is it that you think South Africans have that make us so great in a remote international role?
I think it's our communication style. In South Africa, we already deal with people from different cultures all the time. We learn how to communicate openly and honestly and directly, and we get to the point really quickly. So in a fast-paced industry where you have to move really quickly and make adjustments for different audiences, that's where we thrive because we do it in our day-to-day lives. And in the UK, I think there's just a little bit more nuance. And I was really blessed in that the team at Metaphor is really open-minded and collaborative, and they were ready to take this barrage of questions and, not from a case of wanting to be rude, but just wanting to understand again and get right down to the core USP and figuring out what is it exactly that we're selling. Because with SaaS, it's a little bit different. Technology can be quite a difficult concept to grasp and understand, but it's actually the human story behind it that you're actually selling. Yeah. And again, as South Africans, we are wonderful storytellers, and we're also not afraid of being wrong or breaking things really quickly to fix them, and owning that in the process.
Yes.
It's kind of like, oh, oops, let's fix it. Not, oh, oops.
Exactly.
Someone we're never doing that again. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I think it's a combination of that.
I love that you raised that. No one has actually ever mentioned that on the show before. And I always ask folks that question when they work internationally, but that's such a good one. The idea of taking responsibility and taking ownership, because I feel culturally in South Africa, you are very responsible. You will be held responsible for what you say and what you do and how you behave, whether that's on Twitter, whether that's at a braai, whether that's at Checkers, a shopping center. So it's, I don't know. I think there's a very high sense of accountability here, and that we're not afraid to apologize and say, hey, I messed up. Let's figure it out. Then we make a plan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Exactly. And it's part of our culture. It's ingrained in who we are as a people, and we've just gotten so used to accountability and ownership that it's not a scary concept anymore. And when you're working with a team who finds that refreshing and welcomes that, it's amazing. I know it can be really, really scary as well when you first jump into a position that requires that of you. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And you realize it's actually an amazing opportunity to learn and to push the team forward rather than stagnate in the space that you're in. Let's make a couple of mistakes. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. So yeah, I think that's really worked in my favor. And I can see it, like I say, I can see it with the rest of the team as it's grown. So it's been really amazing to witness.
No, I love that. So if any young marketers are listening, I know it is terrifying when you make your first mistakes at work or, whatever it is. It's going to be okay. Make the mistake, own it, find a solution, and move on.
Exactly. And the thing is, you'll never be judged on the mistake you made. You will be remembered by how you solved the problem. And every product, every audience has its own challenges, and, that's okay. They're supposed to be there. It's okay to feel stumped sometimes, and it's okay to say, shibbits, I don't actually understand what the difference is between these two markets here. Can you explain it to me another time? So, and I think that's actually a strength. So play into it, embrace that as much as you can. And also, have a little bit of fun along the way. It's okay to not be the smartest person in the room every time,
Exactly. And I think I felt quite a lot of pressure when I first started. I was lucky in that I got my start in fully remote work at a startup where it was kind of, let's break this and see what happens, was the attitude. And I'm very grateful for that. But I often found myself kind of wanting to, because, I didn't understand the nuances of a primarily US market. I didn't understand certain ways that people were interacting culturally. And there was a sense that I kind of had to fake it. not to be the bumpkin from South Africa, I had to, that's a terrible word, but I'm going with it. Just pretend that I knew what was going on. And I did that. And that is absolutely the worst thing that you can do, to Candice's point about asking questions and getting to the because you don't know, and that's okay. And honestly, that's a superpower when you come into especially a mature company where things are very established. Like, having an outsider's perspective is so valuable.
Yes, exactly. And people love to talk about their products and the things that they make. So, sometimes it feels intimidating to ask the developers so many questions. But remember that their code or their product is an extension of themselves. It's how they create. It's how they put stuff out into the world. And they're very proud of it. They can be very protective, but that's because they're so proud of it, So show them that you are proud of it as well. Exactly. And you want to market it to the best of your ability. And, they'll see that and they'll recognize that and they'll give you everything that you need. So yeah, go for it.
Yes. I love that we've pulled out so many actionable kind of tidbits from that response that you gave. Let's kind of turn it around. And I'd love to know, just kind of, I want to compare notes here. What have you found different about working with UK folks culturally? Is there anything that has surprised you, or has it been pretty smooth?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, I think for me, definitely the communication style is different, and it was something that I had to get used to. But again, for me, the team they were just so ready for it. So I would say for me, it was things like maybe work-life balance or the times, because South Africans, we like to start very early. Hey, we'll get to the office at like 7, have a coffee in the kitchen, have a chat, and by 8:00, we're like smashing things out. Whereas the UK, it's a little bit different. Their sunlight hours are different. They roll in at like 10:00 SA time. And we've already like lived half of our day and may or may not be a little bit frazzled depending on how much coffee we've had by then. So I would say that has been a shift for us. And I think also South Africans work quite, I'm not really sure what the right word is here, but we're quite like fix it now, refine later kind of thing, if that makes sense, where the UK has a more sort of structured approach. We plan things, we document things, and we make sure we've accounted for all possibilities before we put something out there. Whereas South Africans are kind of like, again, let's test it, see what happens. We can never have all the answers immediately, So I think that's been a big learning curve for me, is to just employ a little bit of, patience and understanding, because you can be bullish, but you shouldn't be a bully. There's a fine line.
I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm impressed myself.
TM.
Definitely. So I think that was the biggest learning curve for me was, it's okay to take a breath, wait a day, and see how it lands. And I think that's also a combination of a South African work trait, but then also coming from years of agency life where the brief drops and you've got to turn it around, So yeah, and there's so much value in the pause, so much value, because when you slow something down, you actually get more control over it. Your response, your reaction, the next step, so that's been really, I think that would be the biggest thing that I had to unlearn, was just dropping and running, So slowing down.
That like fix it, find a solution, get it up and running right away is a very South African thing. But I like what you said about the pause.
Yes.
And it's wonderful that you have the space to do that, because I think a lot of South African companies don't give you that space.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because we're used to moving quickly, and we have to adjust quickly, because things in the South African market change so quickly, and we can be a little bit cowboy in that sense. which is great. It makes us resilient. We can adapt to any environment very quickly and find a way to laugh about it afterwards. But
yes,
there is definitely value in the pause and taking a breath, and perhaps using that time to, again, ask more questions. Why are we doing this? Who are you wanting to target? Are we just putting out a campaign or a product launch for the sake of it because we're ticking a box? Or what are our actual goals here? How are we going to measure the success of this? So yeah, I think that is a huge learning curve. And if you can learn that early on, you are leagues ahead of the rest of us.
Yeah, it is a fine line though, because I think potentially young South Africans working in marketing at an agency or a South African corporate or whatever the case is, you may not have the space to do that.
Yeah.
But take whatever pause you can. I think there is a lot of value in just kind of taking a step back, looking at the big picture instead of charging ahead. I'm giving myself this advice now because I am a prolific charger. I'm just like, what big picture? Let's just make the thing. Let's do the thing. Let's get it out and move on. So I needed that advice today. Thank you, Candice.
Yeah. And I think, being the problem solvers that we are, we do just want to help, and we do just want to get it done. And there's nothing wrong with that. It makes us great team players because we're always 100% in. Like, we are here for that launch. We are going to make the most of it. We're going to do the best job. And, we're just going to do everything and we're going to be amazing. So
I love that.
There is power in it as well.
Yeah. We're such yes people.
Yes.
So you mentioned, Candice, SEO, you've talked about product launches. I read on your LinkedIn profile that you work on partnerships. You seem to do everything. I would love to just kind of learn a little bit more about your current role, what it asks of you, and what you find most energizing right now.
Yes. So I'm currently the product marketer at Metaphor. And what I love the most about it is you become the expert in your product. And you work very, very closely with the product manager, and you become sort of the main source of truth for everyone in the business. So you're dealing with the sales team, the implementation team, you're providing collateral for both of those teams who have different goals and different audiences at any given time. And you're dealing with the developers and with the marketing team and with external resources when you need to, publications, events, coordinators, whoever it may be. So it means that every day is different and every question that you get is different. You'll never be answering the same thing twice. And it's it's all about storytelling. So it's taking a very sort of technical and difficult to understand product and concept and turning it into a story that resonates with whoever you're speaking to at that time. So whether it's a case study, a specific campaign or a product launch, there's something powerful about helping people see not just what software does, but what it will mean for you and your business and making them the hero of the story. I mean, I'm every business owner's biggest cheerleader. I know what it's like to have been there and to feel like you need the space to grow, but you don't know how to do it. And, somebody comes along and solves this very big problem for you, and makes your day to day easier. It's just the most amazing thing. And I love to be a part of that story for them. And I love to do that for the team that I work with as well, so I think it appeals to the mom in me or the office mom in me, where I'm just like, yes, tell me your problems and I will fix them for you. So that I really love. And then just again, the people side of it, aligning the teams, making sure we're all facing in the right direction, helping them see that the thing that they're creating, that the work that they're doing and what they're putting out into the world is actually really making an impact. We've just started creating these beautiful customer success story videos, where we go around to all of our customers and we are creating these sort of series about how the product has helped them increase their revenue or whatever we did to help them, we highlight that in that story, and to play those back for the team who, work really hard, work really late nights. Sometimes they're testing, sometimes they're on support, sometimes they're just crunching towards a deadline, and they don't often get to see the impact of their work on our customers. And so just running that as an internal project alone has been so satisfying and rewarding, not just for me, but for the rest of the team. And I think sometimes as marketers, we forget that we're not just marketing our product to the outside world. We're also marketing our product to the rest of the team. Like, hey, look, you did this really cool thing and you helped this guy specifically,
Yes.
have a better day. Like, that's amazing and it's incredible and it should be celebrated. So I think being the product marketer at Metaphor has been so satisfying in that way, in that it ticks all of the creative boxes. It ticks all of the sort of technical problem solving and challenging boxes, because let me tell you, I can ask the same question 100 times and tomorrow I'll have to ask it again, and it's not always easy and it is very challenging, but it's so rewarding as well, because like I say, you get to see everybody else's hard work become this amazing product and change how businesses run, and our customers love it. So that's really satisfying. So yeah, there's a lot of boxes being ticked there.
That sounds incredible. I love how you keep coming back to the people and the story, because this is a marketing drum that I've been banging, because my background is in journalism. So that is the only thing that really makes sense to me. Give me a spreadsheet and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. ChatGPT, you sort it out.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
my strategy right now. Yeah, but a lot of marketers, and this is also a superpower in some ways, it'll kind of be ROI, numbers, and you can really get sucked into what are we seeing? What are the graphs doing? And that's great. And that can be fulfilling for you and for the rest of your team to kind of share that information. But I got some incredible advice that is really in line with what you said from that. I had a wonderful chat to Naomi Little, who works in content at Todoist, and she was walking me through the very small thing. I mean, okay, it's not a small thing, but it feels quite small in this context of how she creates her reports for YouTube. And the thing, she just includes like a couple of graphs. It's like super lightweight. And the thing that she was like, definitely do this, because this is what our developers and the rest of the team always comment on, is the YouTube comments. So it's comments from people who use Todoist and love it. And she just includes a couple of those, like copy paste. And that like feeds people in a way that the charts and the numbers, no matter how much more impressive they are, they just don't do. So the fact that you are getting video stories from people, I need to find out about the nitty-gritty of this. Like, are you going to people's offices and actually filming them, or is it like a Zoom chat? How do you do it?
No, so it's a whole production. We go to their facilities or offices, and yeah, so it's the same questions as what you would use in a case study, where you say, what was the most unexpected thing you learned about working with the team, or how did we surprise you, or, what's next for you, and that kind of thing. And the story just comes out organically, and you can see as well in the customer how they become really proud of the work that they've done as well. Because often I think we forget to count our wins. It's very good to pick out the losses and focus on that and be like, why did that happen? But we never really take into account the wins. So for me, it's kind of been a win-win-win situation where I'm making my customers feel really great about the things that they've accomplished alongside us, with us as their partners. I'm making my team feel really great about the things that they've accomplished when they don't often get to see that. And it does really great things for my brand. So it's been such an amazing journey, and every story is different. And me being the sort of agency trained human, I was going in with a formula and everything was just going to be copy paste exactly the same. But as I spent more and more time working on the questions, working with the customers, seeing how we've brought so much value to their business and to their day, I realized, it's not just about the product. It really is about the people behind it, and the story that we can tell around that. And the shift in that thinking, once that happened, it made the work so much more meaningful and so much more fun. I think often, like you say, we get so bogged down in the ROI, the reports, which is all very, very valuable. And we have to do that. Of course we do. At the end of the day, it's a very big part of the value that we as marketers bring to a business. But it's also about the way that you make people feel. And that's been a huge sort of learning for me. And again, even if you're not working on the most exciting product, wherever it is, sometimes you get a brief on your desk and you're like, I really don't want to sell another ladder, But it's not about the ladder. It's about the people that create the artwork that's going to go out about the ladder. And, the person who's going to use it at the end of the day and whose day is going to be easier because they have used it. And I feel if you are ever in a position where you're stuck and you're having one of those days where you can't light that creative fire, remember the people at the core of it, and that'll get you to the next step in the process.
I love that. I was deliberately trying to be so quiet there because I know that is absolutely going to be one of the clips for the show. That was really lovely and so
thank you.
Valuable. But brilliant. Yes. Come back to the people. Candice, you have answered so much of kind of what I wanted to ask you within your other answers tangentially, but I would love to just kind of get some advice on you. So there are probably some young, maybe they're still studying, maybe they want to be marketers, aspiring South African marketers listening to the show. What is the one most valuable piece of advice that you can give them? If you were talking to yourself with all the information you know now, just entering the marketing industry, what would you say?
That's a great question, because being the voracious learner that I am, when I realized I wanted to do everything all the time, I did everything all the time. And I wish I had been more intentional from the beginning about building a specific skill set and niching down early. I mean, there's nothing wrong in doing a little bit of everything. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But be intentional. Follow international trends. Stay up to date with how marketing is evolving in different industries. And put yourself at the front of that. Don't ever fall into the trap of thinking that it's happening somewhere else and that's too big for me to get to. It's too wide a gap. Treat yourself as you would a brand that you're selling. And I'm the kind of person who cringes when you speak about yourself as a brand that you're selling and how are you marketing yourself. And, it gives me a little bit of the ick, but it's so true. You need to learn how to position yourself as someone who is an expert in that specific product or field and who does bring a global perspective. Get comfortable with digital communication. I mean, when I started, our job bags were all handwritten. There was no such thing. Yeah. I mean, I'm giving away my age here, but, everything was handwritten. And we had physical job bags that we'd carry around with these reams of proofs. And, now everything's done on Asana or Jira or Slack. And, don't be scared of them. These tools will literally make your day-to-day better. And they help you to communicate clearly. And then lastly, don't underestimate the experience that you have and that you bring to the table as a South African. I think we can be quite self-deprecating in that sense, and we don't allow ourselves to take up space. But we're resourceful, we're adaptable. We're used to working in dynamic environments with all kinds of different people. Those are really invaluable skills, and they shouldn't be underestimated. And don't be afraid to use your voice. I think that's something that I'm still learning. I do often catch myself sometimes hesitating to speak up in a room where there are more senior people or people who perhaps understand the product better than I do. But the reality is, if you have an insight or a perspective or a fresh way of looking at things, that's valuable, regardless of your title or the years of experience that you have, whether that's in the product or in the industry. fresh is good. So yeah, niche down early and don't underestimate your ability to play on the world stage. It's not as far away as you think that it is.
Ah, that was another mic drop moment. I actually have goosebumps. Candice, thank you. That is a wonderful, wonderful note to end on. I really appreciate you making this time. I mean, we're probably past the time that your UK colleagues will be rolling in. So I know you need to hop off. Yeah, you gotta go. Before we go, where can people find you if they want to follow your work?
So I'm mostly on LinkedIn at the moment. I haven't really branched out too much into other channels just yet. But yeah, LinkedIn is the best space to go. And yeah, can I say that peeps are welcome to drop me a mail if they need any advice or anything? I don't know. Is that a thing?
I mean, maybe LinkedIn inbox for now.
Yeah.
Or
okay, cool.
You could find Candice in the SA Tech Marketers Slack community. I have already invited Candice and she said she would love to join. So she's going to be hanging out with us there. It's a really fun space. It's new and it's still growing, but we've got some really, really cool people. A lot of folks that have already been on this podcast and are excited about helping young South Africans grow and connecting with other folks working remotely. We're already spinning up our first event, which is going to be fun. But yeah, Candice will be there. I'll be there and we would love to see you. And that is all the things. Candice, thank you for your
amazing.
time. It's been
thank you
really,
so
really wonderful
much.
and energizing.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And thank you so much. I think this is such an amazing and valuable space and message to keep sending out there. And yeah, I can't wait to hang out at the next event. And yeah, it's just keep chatting and learning more together. Let's take over the world.